Okay. Okay. So hello, my name is Rebecca Garner. I am the author of the young adult novel, Why Won't My Boobs Grow and Other Annoyances, which actually just came out this week in ebook format and will be officially published in paperback on May 31st. So I'm an Oakland resident, a mom, an avid reader, and a cat lover. And I'm very excited to be here today and talk to you all about my journey as an author. Hi, that's my daughter. I have a presentation together, but happy to stop and answer questions or talk a little bit more about anything throughout. I really made it because I knew I was going to be nervous and needed something to lean on. Also why I have my notes here. But so like I said, feel free to ask questions or stop me at any time. And I want it to feel like a chit chat versus a presentation. So the title of this panel is An Author's Journey from Dream to Reality. And becoming an author has been a dream of mine for a long time. When I was 13, I started writing a fictionalized version of my 7th grade year in a yellow notebook. When I was 16, my friend and I declared that we were going to rewrite our own versions of our favorite book series. When I was 24, I wrote in my brand new journal, "I've stopped thinking that my life has to follow an ordinary path. Who says I can't be an extraordinary author?" When I was 25, I started writing a novel about a 20-something looking for love. When I was 27, I started a blog called The Married Cat Lady, where I told stories from my own life. When I was 28, I left my teaching job and started writing a story about a typical teenage girl named Anna. When I was 31, I opened that story back up. When I was 32, I decided to try and get that book published. And now I'm 33 years old, and my debut novel, Why Won't My Boobs Grow and Other Annoyances, will be out on May 31st. Yay! Thank you. Wow. So awesome. Very cool, Becca. But how did you get to this point? Great question. I would love to tell you. So with the writing process, coming up with the idea is the easy part. The actual writing of the idea, not so much. You know, you get this idea in your brain, you're like, oh my gosh, this would be such a great book. I'm gonna write it. I know exactly what I want to happen. Like, let's go. I'm gonna be this cat on the left. And then you get about 10 pages in, like, oh, okay. And you spend a lot more time like the cat on the right. So when I first started writing this book, I literally just sat down in my basement and started writing from the beginning of the story. And I've learned a lot since that first day, but I think really the most important thing I've learned is to show up. Even if you're tired, even if you don't think your writing is good, even if you think you used all of the words in your brain, show up anyway, because that's the only way that it's actually going to get done. Now, even if you show up, it doesn't always mean any actual writing is going to take place. So B.E. Schwab, who is the author of books like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, the Darker Shades of Magic series, and most recently Gallant, shared this. And if you can't read it, it says, look, some days are typing days and some days are deleting days, and some days are thinking days, and all of those are writing days. And then she followed up with, I'm posting this because I spent 5 hours staring at the place the wall meets the ceiling, trying to figure out how stories work, and I have to believe that was progress. So she also posted this on Instagram not long after I started my author account, and it really struck me and it has stuck with me ever since then. It's something I think about a lot because it's really about showing up. And I also loved it because this very successful author still does the same, like deals with the same things I do, where I feel like there are no words or you're not sure what to do, but you show up anyways. And to her point, she's still thinking about the story, and we're gonna call that progress. So that's my advice, is to show up, because beyond that, everyone's writing process is different. Like I said, when I first started writing this book, I just sat down and started typing. I didn't plan anything out. This is what people in the writing community call being a pantser, just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. And I just, whatever was in my brain in that moment is what ended up happening in the story. And I was lucky enough too that when I started writing the first draft of this book, I had just recently left my teaching job, and I wrote a lot of it that summer between leaving my job and starting a new job in the fall. So I was able to commit a few hours every day to my writing, which was very cool. Now, on the next book, because I'm manifesting it, there will be a next book. I think I'll probably be more of a planner. Maybe even, do a nice detailed outline. And if you know me in real life, you're probably surprised that I didn't do that the first time. But I don't have that gift of time anymore. I have a full-time job. I'm a mom. And I don't have 3 hours every day to give to my writing anymore. But I'm going to show up. Even if it's just for 30 minutes, even if I feel like my writing isn't good, even if I'm just staring into space thinking about the story, because I know that that's how it got done the first time. Okay, so awesome. We have an idea. Maybe we have a first draft. Now, how do we get it published? And if only it was as easy as this meme and this cat telling me that I'm a great author. And so what happened for me was all very serendipitous. And I won't bore you with the whole story. I'm happy to talk about it more later if you want to. But I ended up learning about hybrid publishing. And hybrid publishing, like it sounds, is a mix between traditional and self-publishing. And what really caught my attention about it was that the publisher helps you with all of the nitty-gritty stuff, with the, finding an editor, with cover design, formatting and layout, and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, I own all the rights to my book. It's very like Taylor Swift, Taylor's version kind of way to go about it. But for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like it felt almost too good to be true. So I've mentioned before that I have learned a lot throughout all of this process. And one of the other nuggets that I've really taken away from all of this is the importance of community. And I've been working with the Book Creators Program and New Degree Press for almost a year now. And at the center of everything they do is community, community-powered publishing, and that authors are not doing any of this alone. So the first half of the program is the Book Creators Program. And it's really all about that creation piece, about getting the story done. And then we work with New Degree Press on editing and the actual publishing. And like I said, community is centered in each of these pieces. So in the Book Creators Program, it didn't start. It's not that important, but so in the Book Creators Program, we're not sitting alone in our basements, just with no one to talk to except our characters. Instead, there are weekly workshops and author circles, and work with a developmental editor as you're working through your manuscript. So again, focusing on that community to help you get through this creation piece. And, the people that I met through this program, fellow authors, and the things that I learned and the insight I gained just truly was incredible. And like as corny as it sounds, truly life-changing. And so the Book Creators Program ends with a pre-sale campaign. And this is another really cool thing about the hybrid publishing model, because it mobilizes your community and the people who are supporting you to help you publish your book. Because self-publishing is not only a lot of work, but it's also pretty expensive. So the pre-sale campaign helps you raise the funds to cover the costs of publishing. So that's your editor fees, that's your cover design fees, layout fees, the printing of the actual books, all of that. And I was very lucky to have a hugely successful, a hugely successful pre-sale campaign. We raised over $13,000, which is just incredible. So that covers all of the costs to not only publish the paperback and ebook versions, but I'll also be able to publish a hardcover and an audiobook later on. 222 incredible humans, some of whom are in this room, supported the pre-sale campaign, and there were 322 copies of the book pre-ordered. So that was pretty cool. My hand is going to be very sore when I have to sign all of those books, but that is a problem I am so grateful to have. But so, you know, when your community supports the pre-sale campaign, it's not just, here's some money, see you at the end. It's also, these supporters become part of the publishing process with you. They get to see behind the scenes looks at things. They get sneak peeks at chapters and content and fun things, even like helping you choose the beautiful cover you see in front of you. So they really, like I said, become part of that publishing process with you, which I think is pretty cool. So after the pre-sale campaign, you move over to the New Degree Press side of things. And that's when you start working on your revisions, copy editing, proofreading, cover design, and then of course the actual publishing. So I did 8 pretty intense weeks of revisions. This is the end of the revisions process. Followed by, or with weekly calls with my editor, bi-weekly workshops, and then that was followed by a 4-day, truly a sprint to review all of my copy edits. And then I worked with a cover designer to choose with the help of my author community. So these were the 3 ideas, and my author community helped me pick which one I liked the best, and then worked with them to make it the beauty that it is before you today. I read my manuscript out loud so many times, so many times. And just this last week, on Thursday, actually, I published the ebook version of Why Won't My Boobs Grow and Other Annoyances. So it was very exciting. So this week came after a lot of hard work and transparently a lot of tears, both from frustration and also happiness. This is me seeing my book for the first time on Amazon. It was very cool. And this is, you know, a very proud moment for me. Like I said, this has been my dream for a long time. So it's truly a dream come true. But this is only the beginning, because the paperback launches on Tuesday, May 31st, wherever books are sold. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org. Hoping the Oakland Library is going to carry it. And then, like I mentioned, I'm so lucky that I am also going to be able to publish a hardcover edition. And my plan is to narrate the audiobook myself. So a lot of exciting things still to come. Plus, you know, ideas for a sequel swirling around in my brain. But so if you would oblige me, I would love to tell you a little bit about the book itself. So Why Won't My Boobs Grow and Other Annoyances is a young adult contemporary fiction novel about a 14-year-old girl named Emma. And Emma is just your typical teenage girl. You know, she's just trying to figure out who she is. She's dealing with fights with her friends and a first kiss and zits and wondering if her boobs are going to grow. So, you know, I wrote this book in the hopes that teenage girls would be able to see themselves in Emma's story. And so we don't really have any teenage girls in the room, but it's also, you know, a great read if you enjoy young adult fiction, or if you are a nostalgic millennial like I am, or if you enjoy stories about first love or friendship. And I think that there are elements in this book that anyone can identify with. So before I open it up for questions, I thought I would read a little bit of it for you. Okay, let me just switch real quick. Okay, so this is chapter 1 of Why Won't My Boobs Grow and Other Annoyances. Chapter 1, it's so big, it's practically pulsing. Thursday, April 22nd, 7:06 a.m. I have a massive zit on my face. I cannot handle this today. I put my head in my hands. Not that I handle zits very well any day, but today especially. Also, why doesn't everyone use the word zit? The word pimple really grosses me out. My presentation is today. We had to write argumentative essays for Miss Stein's English class this quarter. I wrote mine about why cats make the ideal pet. I'm actually pretty proud of it. I spent a lot of time choosing exactly the right GIFs and pictures of kittens. But that doesn't mean I want to stand in front of the class looking like Rudolph and share it. Why can't we do the work, turn it in, and move on? I swear, the teachers gather in their lunchroom and plot ways to make us miserable. I can just imagine them cackling over their lunches, probably tuna sandwiches or something equally as disgusting. I look in the mirror again. The zit is sitting on the bridge of my nose. It's so big, it's practically pulsing, like a big red mountain. It hurts just to look at it. What am I going to do? I can't go out in public like this. Maybe mom will let me stay home today. Yeah. I'm suddenly feeling like poop. I throw myself back into my bed and roll onto my side so I can stare at the beautiful faces of the band Celsius. I hug my stuffed piggy tightly and gently breathe in his comforting scent. 7:28 a.m. Where's mom? Why isn't she coming to check on me yet? I'm bored. 7:30 a.m. Elvis saunters in and hops up on the bed with me. Good morning, handsome boy. I try to pet his adorable gray hide. He responds with a swat on my nose. Seriously, it's bad enough there as it is. I cautiously touch my nose. Yep, still there. His black pupils stare at me unblinkingly. Then he turns and lifts a leg straight up in the air so he can lick his butt. Thanks for your support. Still licking. Can you do that somewhere else, please? I know cats need to clean themselves, but does he have to do it in such a showy way? 7:34 a.m. Still in bed. Mom finally comes into my room. Emma, why aren't you dressed yet? She pushes on my shoulder and I fake groggily turn over. At first, all I see is blue fuzz. But then I realize my mother is standing there in a towel. Gross. What if it falls off? I'll be scarred forever. No, Mom, I start to shout. But then I remember I'm supposed to be sick. I lower my head back onto my pillow delicately and try to hide my outburst with a cough. Oh, Mommy, I whine. I scrunch my face in a way I imagine makes me look like I'm very ill. I don't feel good. I rub my forehead for good measure. Oh, Mommy, huh? She raises her eyebrow skeptically at me. Does this have anything to do with that pimple on your nose? I don't know what you're talking about. I pull my covers up over my face. Can you please not use the word pimple? It's disgusting. You're going to school, she says with a finality that tells me not to bother arguing. And you better hurry up. We're leaving in 20 minutes. You won't have time to walk today. She pauses at the door looking back at me. I can help you cover that up if you want. No, I shout, still hiding under my covers. As soon as the door closes, I fly out of bed. I look in the mirror. Oh, crap. Not only do I have my new friend on my nose, but my hair is standing up in every direction. I find my brush halfway hidden underneath the magazines and notebooks on my desk and try to smooth it out in the back. That's what you get for not showering in the morning, I can hear my friend Cher saying with her usual superiorness. I sigh and walk over to my dresser, pulling open the top drawer. I grab my padded training bra out of its special place. I'm going to need all the help I can get today. So that's just a little taste on the story. So I would love to answer any questions if anybody has them. Yes, woman, I don't know.
So how did you pick the young adult genre?
It was very easy for me because I am a former middle school language arts teacher. And I've always loved YA fiction. And when I was leaving my teaching job, it wasn't because I didn't love teaching anymore or that I didn't love language arts. I was just really burnt out. And truthfully, I had a lot of guilt about leaving my teaching job. And this voice in my head was kind of like dancing around. And I was like, well, maybe at least if I write a young adult book, I can still have some sort of impact on the youths. So yeah. And I love YA, so I think it's fun. Great question.
So when you were writing from like start to finish, or were you like, I have this idea that I wanted to book, but I just don't know where to put it in? Or is it just like you wanted to be going like?
So when I wrote this book, I just did it start to finish. Which was hard because sometimes I would have ideas and I'd be like, oh, well, just, remember that for later. Wouldn't recommend doing it that way. On the next one, and this is something too I learned in the book creators program, they talk a lot about writing in what they call snippets. So when you have that little idea, just writing that down, even if it's just like 50 words, so that you can come back to it later. Even if you don't know where it's going to fit in the story, you have it written down. And I actually learned that that's how Lemony Snicket writes all of his books, is in snippets like that. He writes them on Post-it notes and then like kind of assembles them for his draft. Yeah. So when I am working on the next one, I definitely think that that's more of the approach that I will take. I think I'm kind of my personal writing process, I think I sort of think about the story sequentially. But I'm not going to limit myself in the way that I did the first time. Thank you for asking that question. That was awesome. Jenny?
So how did you try and get some balance with like writing the book, but also doing your job and your family life and all that?
Yes, it has been a lot. I think the biggest thing is that I have an incredible support system. My husband, when I floated the idea of publishing the book to my husband, he did not even hesitate. He was like, yeah, of course, you should do it. Yes. And so when I started the program and I was like, okay, listen, I need 4 hours every Sunday to work on all of this. And he's like, all right. He's like, let's just, figure out what time is going to work best for that. And then as far as like my day job, I just had to, there are some times where I will do something on my lunch for the book, but I try not to do that because I try to keep them separate as separate as possible. So during the week, I will, do my day job. And then after my daughter goes to bed, I do book stuff. And just trying to keep them as separate as possible. But that also means I have pretty hard boundaries on my work life. I'm not generally speaking. I work in corporate America now. I'm not the kind of person who's like, yes, I'm going to work an extra 2 hours. But just keeping those boundaries, because I will when I have to, obviously, but, knowing that my day ends at 4 or 4:30 every day, because I want to spend time with my daughter, have dinner at my mom's house, whatever it is. So then I can do my book stuff later. Thank you. Yes.
I'm sorry, I have another question.
Don't be sorry.
How you found NDP and how you built a relationship with the editors, because it sounds like you had more than one. And
Yes.
Did you get to select them, interview them? Like how did that stuff?
So this is a great question. Thank you, Auntie. So the way that it works, so in the book creators, the first half of the program, you work with what they call a developmental editor. So for me, I came into the program with a mostly complete manuscript. So I was a little bit different than the people in my cohort. But you work with that developmental editor as you're working through the first draft of your manuscript. And the way that they do it is by genre. So I obviously am writing young adult fiction. So I had an editor who was focused on fiction. Whereas other people in my cohort who were writing nonfiction or poetry had, an editor that had more experience, in that genre. And then when you move to the publishing side with NDP, you get what they call a marketing and revisions editor. And I adore we call MRE. I adore her. She's incredible. She is also a fiction author. And they obviously help you through revisions and all of that, but they also help you get through your pre-sale campaign and help you pull out nuggets for marketing and all of that. And they walk you through the entire publishing process. So you don't get to pick, but I really, really lucked out with my MRE because she's incredible. Yes. Woman I don't know.
What do you think led to such a successful pre-sale campaign? Because it was quick. I remember it vaguely. Just a stranger off the street.
But even you remember.
Even I remember seeing how quickly it went.
Yes. So for some context, the pre-sale campaign is 30 days. And your baseline goal, depending how long your manuscript is, mine was $6,500 to cover the cost of all of the editing and stuff, and then the publishing of the book. I raised that in 24 hours. And then by the end of the first week, I had raised $10,000. And I just got chills like saying that because it was just truly one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had in my life. And this is silly, but I think I credit it to being a nice person. All of my life, I like to think I'm pretty friendly. And what really blew me away, obviously I was blown away by the generosity of my family and my friends and the people I knew were going to support me, but friends from high school who immediately supported the campaign. People I hadn't talked to in years and years and years, buying multiple copies of the book. It was truly incredible. And I think maybe it was just because I was nice to people. I don't know. I think a lot of it, I did put a lot of work in before the pre-sale campaign, letting people know what I was doing. I'm very, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm very open about what the process is like. So pretty much if you knew me on social media in any way, shape or form, you knew I was writing this book. And you knew kind of at least some of the ins and outs about it. So I think also a big part of it was the awareness that I had built up prior to the pre-sale campaign. So, yeah.
Do you have a trailer on?
No, I don't. Okay, so if there's no other questions, thank you so much for being here. I was really nervous, but this was very fun. Like I mentioned, the ebook is available right now on Amazon, and it's only 99 cents until the paperback comes out on May 31st. So you can scan that QR code and I'll take you to my website, or you can just search Why Won't My Boobs Grow on Amazon. I'll pop right up. And I have actually papers. It's this on paper. So feel free if you would like to take one, if you're interested in essentially buying a copy of the book for yourself or for someone in your life who might enjoy it. It also has my website and ways to keep in touch with me, social media, all of that fun stuff. But thank you so much.